And Christchurch City councillor Sam MacDonald is with me. G'day, Sam.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good, thank you, sir. Just want to let the viewers know we invited Christchurch media and Dalzell to front up on this platform and we haven't heard back. Sam, first of all, you've put out a public plea, if you like, for the mayor of the city to release publicly excluded information to the public. What is the information and why is it so key in their decision-making when it comes to the stadium debacle?
Yeah, so look, we've had massive public feedback over the last week around the council decision. And one of the challenges has been, there's been a narrative, quite rightly, that there has been a cost escalation in what we're doing. One of the numbers that's been bandied around is the $88 million point. And I think the other one that's come through is that the design approved by council the week before last gets us back to budget. I have a few challenges, I guess, with those figures. And unfortunately, I guess some other people who perhaps don't share my view have been able to say, well, we're not frugally or fiscally responsible, and we want to spend $88 million more. I concede, I think, that actually there isn't that much of a difference. There's still, tens of millions of dollars between one scope or the other. But actually, I think we need a document like that, put it to the public domain so that actually the public can have their say and really understand where I'm coming from. I'm hand on heart not misleading the public at all. I just want them to have the facts that I can see, I'm fortunate enough to as a city councillor.
So the details as it stands thus far is that in order to get to the 30,000 seat capacity magic mark, it could cost the council an extra $88 million. And some of the city councils have said that's just far too much money to spend on an All Black game that's simply not guaranteed. Do they have a point there, though?
Look, I don't think they do. I mean, we made a commitment to the people of Christchurch years and years ago, actually prior to me being on council, that actually we would build a multi-use arena that was fit for purpose. What we've done now, in light of COVID and a few other challenges, is actually de-spec this to fit within an existing budget. That's probably not the kind of bold ambition I think a council should be delivering for people. If you take the town hall, for example, that blew out by $40 million. So actually there are always blowouts for this kind of thing. But the most important thing is how you respond to it. So, look, I want to have a public conversation by simply saying, actually, the public should see those costs and that breakdown. And so we've put that request through.
On Sunday, Dalzell apparently told Newshub the $88 million for 5,000 extra seats was a lot of money for a one-night stand. What's your response to that?
Look, I mean, I don't find it overly helpful to get into an argument with the mayor. And look, we have differing views on things, but ultimately we have to work together. So I guess I'm just trying to stress this isn't a personal thing between me and the mayor or, James Goff, Catherine True, Phil Major and Aaron Keelan, any of us who have shared this view. We actually just want the right outcome for the city. So look, I mean, the mayor's entitled to her views. I've made comments before I probably shouldn't have, and perhaps this is one that she has. But ultimately we just need a good outcome. So look, we've put out some media releases, it's gained a bit of traction, caused a lot more public conversation, which is actually really healthy in a democracy. So look, I'm pretty comfortable in our position, but I think what will be interesting to see is how the organisation responds to those requests for public information.
Well, it's a fair point because it's a lot of public money that is at stake. And of course, the council, no doubt, and its staff will say they can't release some of the information. Some of the information is redacted because it's commercially sensitive. But is there an argument to suggest, well, that may be the case, but it is public money. Front up or shut up. What would you say?
Yeah, I think the where I'm coming from is the comparatives. And so look, I'm a chartered accountant by trade and have done work in the construction sector. So I kind of understand this stuff. But I think that what I really want in the public domain is really looking at the options that were considered by council and the value manage option. So that the $88 million that the council are talking about, the public should be able to see what makes up each of those budgets and where things are comparable or not. And I'm convinced that when people see that, they'll understand that the position myself and four other councillors have taken is not overly unreasonable. But I think, looking through the stuff, there's an education element to it as well. So if we can share that information, which currently I can't talk about that detail, it's all in public excluded, I'd be, done by the council if I spoke about it. So I think, what we're sort of calling for, and again, I'm not bashing the mayor, I don't think that's overly helpful, but is actually to say, as a political machine, in terms of the elected council, perhaps we need to make a conscious decision to put that information into the public domain so that actually people can make an informed choice or have a really strong view on either way.
Deputy Mayor Andrew Turner told the Christchurch Press he's not budging on this, saying he is not willing to increase rates by almost 1% for the next 30 years to add another 5,000 seats that will be, quote, really be used. Has he got a point?
Look, no, not at all. I mean, I like Andrew. I work with him. He's the chair of finance. I'm the deputy chair. So again, it's not a personal thing. But what we've said is the conversation should never be about slashing and burning a budget like that. It should be how we grow the revenue. And so ultimately, we should be talking to our neighbouring councils. Quite frankly, I think there's a place for us to talk to central government. You'll see at the moment they're talking about water reform, where they take well over $5 billion of our assets, and actually they only want to give us $122 million for them. So there's a conversation there where we are being screwed on one level by central government. And so when things like this happen, I think we should be fully entitled to go back to them and say there are challenges and we can work through them. So it's not about burdening the ratepayer with additional rating impacts. Look, there will be costs anyway, but ultimately we should be looking at other revenue streams. And that's certainly probably the bit that's been lost in our amendments over the last couple of weeks, is actually we didn't just say we think it should be 25,000 permanent and 5,000 temporary. We also said, let's go and talk to the councils next door to us who will benefit from this as well, and go back to central government.
Well, no doubt the likes of Waimak and Salmon will benefit if the stadium is ever built. By the way, do we have any cost analysis as to how much money has been spent on consultants? Because I was quite shocked to hear that we're still moaning and only discussing preliminary designs, not even the final design. So there's this design, then I take it there'll be another final design. I mean, we must be in the millions by now.
Oh, look, absolutely. And I mean, like I say, I'm an accountant by trade and have worked in the construction sector. So ultimately, you have to get the planning right. If you can get it right now, it'll avoid a lot of those blowouts that happen down the line. So I'm relaxed about the planning aspect of it. But what I want to see, I guess, is a good outcome for the city. And I'm just quite frustrated in such a short-sighted decision by the council last week that actually says, no, look, let's work within the budget we've got and let's de-spec this. This will be a 100-year asset, in my view, that the whole region will benefit from.